Buenas a todos, bienvenidos a otro capítulo de EpicTV España. Después de haber visto el documental Light de Caroline Treadway, nos hemos reunido con unas amigas escaladoras a charlar un poquito del tema. El tema de la alimentación en la escalada es muy relevante tanto para escaladores profesionales como para nosotros, simples amateurs. De paso me echamos un poquito con cuestiones como lo que es la técnica a la hora de escalar, ciertos prejuicios en cuestión de género y también el miedo. Esperamos que les gusten y si les interesa se pueden suscribir aquí mismo. Gracias. If we're not even, so super cool. Yeah. You wouldn't have to endure to move your neck whatsoever. On the second VI.
Looking at the seams, looking at the cracks in the pavement. Oh, tell me what this means. Tell me how you really feel. Would you light a fire?
This tree is perfect for climbing.
Would you light a fire? Would you fly higher? Or would you stand tall? Would you light a fire? We're bouncing off the walls. We're taking it to higher places. So tell me what you want.
A lot of improvement. I kind of made like knuckles.
So yesterday I went climbing. I had a not quite a good experience. Have you seen this documentary that's just come out? The one called Light.
Yep, I have seen that.
Yes. What do you think about it?
Well, I think for me, like part of me was surprised because I kind of knew that this is a problem in the climbing community, but still like hearing professional climbers actually talking about their struggle on that and how much they struggled on that and how destructive it was to their life. And some of them in the documentary, she's still struggling with that. She hasn't recovered from it yet, and it's actually could be really hard to recover from it if you can. So I think that to me was still a surprise, quite a surprise.
Yes. Besides that, they're talking about in the surroundings, it's like around them there are people who are still on that, so as to say, as if it were a drug, right? But what draws my attention the most is that these are professional climbers, right?
Yeah.
But we're all living in Cornudella, and you can see it in your surroundings, or at least in my personal experience, I also struggled with weight.
Yeah.
Not in such a radical way, but I don't know, weighing myself every morning and seeing.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
It's to different extent, right? Like we might all like on the spectrum of this eating disorder, but different extent.
Yeah.
For the professional climber, especially when they're competing, it's probably way more extreme. But I definitely do see like just average climber like me.
Yes.
Like we call like recreational climbers. And I see people around me definitely like struggle with that too.
Yes, that's why it's like, okay, it's so extreme. You see it from, okay, professional climbers usually are someone we look up to and we admire. And we usually copy the habits. But seeing it in us like amateur climbers, it's like, okay, I don't know. I find it quite serious, actually, that it's happening among us.
Too, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just a tempting thing to kind of resort to when you think that you have done everything else. You have improved, you have worked on your technique, you're not scared of falling anymore, you've kind of, you've pushed yourself, and then you look for other ways to improve, and then all of a sudden it all comes down to how much you weigh, and you start to think that, if you would lose 1 kilo or whatever, and then it can go really quick, you know. I mean, after half a year you find yourself in this really dangerous position, and all of that in a community that kind of supports extreme diets.
Well, it supports, yes.
or
extreme.
like encourages extreme diets.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure. So after like literally the evening that I watched it, I think I don't know how many friends I sent this documentary to. I just sent link to everyone that I think they might benefit from watching it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think this is only an eye opener. I don't know. Then it will be an effort from each one of us. I mean, yesterday I went climbing and I think I gained more or less 10 kilos in the past year.
Yeah.
And I had finally come to terms with it and saying, okay, I'm finally comfortable climbing with this new weight.
Yeah.
And all. And yesterday I couldn't hold myself from 2 finger pockets.
Sure, yeah.
And I felt like crap. It's like, okay, I'm watching this documentary. I finally got into terms with this, and it seems like not yet. I'm not happy about it.
It's really hard, right?
It sucks, yes. And maybe watching the documentary is a starting point, but I think it's going to be as tough as training or as dieting, if you like, getting back into a healthy habit to get stronger, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's the way things not even just about performance. For example, in your case, you actually like you perform well recently, right? You do like 70 plus and that, right? And you've been sending. Even though you've been sending, you still like worry about weight.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, even you gain 10 kilo, you're still performing your best. So what? But still, it bugs you, right?
It still bothers. Yes,
Yeah, I know.
that's a great problem. It's like, okay, I can see it's well in the documentary. There's also this girl who gets to send her hardest in her new
Emily Harrington, is that?
Well, Emily and the other girl, Angie, I think.
Oh yeah, she'd send the boulder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, they're not quite happy with it. It's like I don't know. I think it's going to take some time to have it sorted out.
Yeah, I've thought about, I mean, kind of the role models, like in some of the people that I climbed with in the past. They watch a lot of competition climbing, and I mean, we all know like there are many different climbers, many different body types, right? Trail climbers, rock climbers, competition climbers, boulders. Whatever. It's people look different. But especially for competition climbers, I find that the overwhelming majority is very, very skinny.
Yeah.
And if that's your point of reference, then it's just tempting to think you need to look like that to actually be able to climb hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, I mean, of course, weight matters somehow, but what matters most, at least from what I've read in the past, is like strength to weight ratio. So it's like
the combination of those.
Yeah. So if you're strong and you weigh 10 kilos more, then
it shouldn't be any problem. It shouldn't be.
You might not be that strong if you lose those 10 kilos. You know. So
yeah, it might all be.
Yeah.
Most of it be muscle.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the extreme diets, when you go on them, what you lose first is muscle.
Yes, of course.
And your tendons get weaker.
So it's much easier for you to get injured. Yes, and to have health problems.
Yeah, and then in the end, you're like a lot worse off than you were before.
So the key would be to get stronger, to improve your technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I think this problem is probably like much deeper than it seems. You know.
Yeah.
It probably like has historical reasons, which they touched on the documentary. I think I don't remember who like interviewed. She competed quite early on, and I think back then competed probably Emily Harrington. I think, like back then, like when you compete, like in Europe, like including Europe or in the US, everyone's on diet. So if you're not on diet, you're heavy means you're losing, right? Like you're not competing the fair ground if everyone's dieting. It's like if everyone's doping and you're not doping.
Yes, I think they made that comparison.
You're sabotaging yourself.
Terrible.
You know.
Yes.
So if you came from like that history. And that's, of course, it doesn't competing is quite extreme. But I think in outdoor climbing, I mean, I think there's this one girl said she was climbing in Mount Rapides in Australia. It was quite early. Yeah, she said like their diet is just like beer and the protein powders. That's all.
Yes.
So because they need to be skinny.
Yes.
Right. Like.
And beer helps with that.
Yeah, that's where exactly. That I mean, if you think about, that's where we came from. You know.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we've come a long way now. eating a little bit
Yeah.
better now, but still, like I think we're extremely concerned about weight. And plus, as you guys mentioned earlier, like all the role models we look at, like all climbers just so skinny. Especially like competition climbers,
especially competition climbers,
and
but
professional climbers
I think
too, most of them.
Yes,
like-
but Eva, you'd mentioned Hazel Finley as an example,
or
other climbers who are not particularly skinny, but they're super, super strong.
I mean,
and
a lot of the really strong female climbers, yeah, okay, some are super skinny, but if you really look at the different body types, there's quite some variety. So.
yes,
Yeah.
And for the male climbers as well. And I mean, I feel like for male climbers, even more of a taboo. Like the people that are on the most extreme diets,
Yes.
outspokenly so, I know, are male climbers.
yes. Well, in the documentary, there's this guy Kai who
Yeah, one of the few guys who were willing to.
who are willing to show their faces and to talk openly about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And he mentioned something about vulnerability also,
Yeah.
Oh.
and how hard it is, even more for the male climbing community, maybe to show themselves vulnerable.
Yeah, because people, I have the feeling that there's still this perception that eating disorders are a woman's thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And that's, I mean, if it's just not factually true. Like it's women seek help more often, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not not just a women's thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Not at
and yeah, but it can be pretty scary if you
Yes.
listen to people who are like, I don't know, 1.80 m and they think they need to be 60 kilos or even below.
Yes. But yeah, I think it stems from showing oneself vulnerable, right? Just like expressing it. That I think that's an advantage we have as females, so as to say, right now at this moment, it'd be cool for it to be more, for all of us to be able to open up about these things.
Yeah, I think talking about it, like actually talking about it is probably the first step.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, I mean, telling people, like, sometimes, I mean, maybe you know those comments when you go out for food with, like, your climbing friends, and then they're like, you really ate all that?
Yeah.
And you're like, you're really gonna eat all that? And you've had a really exhausting climbing day, and you're just really hungry.
Oh.
And you, I mean,
You're
for me,
enjoying it a lot.
for me, it can be really challenging not to internalize this and think that I'm
yes.
doing something wrong, but actually to be like, you know, I mean, I hear that for you this might be really challenging that to eat so much, but actually I'm really hungry.
Yes.
So yeah, how we communicate with other climbers about our food choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure.
You must have. I remember.
Yeah,
you
for sure. I mean, a lot of people told me I eat a lot, but I do eat a lot because I'm hungry. So
I was super glad to see you eat. more than many people I see eat when we got for dinner together. It was like, okay, they're enjoying themselves a lot. Wow, this is cool. Yes, I have another serving. Yes. Well, I think that vulnerability has quite some link about fear. About being afraid.
Yeah.
Mostly, well, men especially, that they're afraid to display their fear. So, in a certain way, right? What are your thoughts?
I feel like it's easier for me. Maybe it's easier for me as a woman to just say I'm scared, and then it's accepted. And it's okay that I say that I'm scared because, like,
It goes with being a woman, right? Being afraid. Yeah.
But it's also, at least for me, it then meant that it's not so easy to actually work on it because you might have. I felt like there was less external pressure, less this kind of this encouragement to work on it, to like overcome it, because it's more like it's just okay. It's normal.
Yes.
You're scared. You can just top rope, right?
Don't worry. Yes.
Well, I mean, the
I'll set the
encouragement-
top rope for you. Yes.
Yeah. The encouragement I got was mostly from other female climbers, and that was really supportive for me.
But you started climbing just a few years ago, right?
Yeah, like two years ago. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Maybe. What really annoys me, maybe you get to a crag and I've heard it mostly from males, so I don't know, but it's like you take a look at it and say, okay, how's that one? And they'll say, oh no, it's too many runouts, or it's too reachy, or I can set. Would you like me to put the top rope for you? It's like, I can give it a try and take a few falls, can't I? If it's too reachy, I'll try and reach it. Look at my AP index. Come on, man.
You're mad at me.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I really think that they want to be supportive, you know? I mean, it's really like, it really is like, it's not something where they try to boycott you or anything. Not at all. Like, it's really wanting to help you enjoy it. But yeah. I want to enjoy more just trying it and then potentially falling and having a good catch, and then that's fine. Right?
Having a good catch is important.
Yeah. That's the crucial thing.
That's the important part.
Like, yeah, that's the crucial support.
Yeah.
But do you think there's a difference? I mean, like what you see in reality, or like right now at every given day in the crag. I mean, just male climbers they seem to be like braver, you know, in terms of taking falls, versus female climbers. Do you see that? Or do you see there's a difference there?
Not so much anymore. I think with the passing of time, at least right now, you can see many women at the crag
taking falls.
Taking
Right.
falls, and yes, and this is going to sound horrible, but going by themselves. It's like not being the girlfriend of this climber.
Yeah, that's like more
You know?
and more, right? Like,
And yes, I got the impression that maybe before it was more common to see female climbers as their girlfriends off, and now I don't know.
yeah.
The last few times I've been to a crag, I see more girls climbing than guys, and it's super inspiring.
Yeah, I also see that too.
Taking falls, being brave, and maybe getting super scared, but okay, trying. Getting super scared.
How often do you get scared when you climb?
Oh, loads of times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I felt for me it's like very often too.
Yes.
But it's not like every time I'm like scared shitless or something. Can I say that?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, but I always like sometimes when we get on a new route, I don't know what was coming, you know.
Yes, of course.
I don't know what's the fall gonna be like. Of course, I would be a bit worried. So I will like assure my players, like, yeah, just make sure you make a catch and all that, right? Like, so I don't think like there's a given day I go to crag, I'm like fearless. But it doesn't mean I can't climb, you know. I
No,
can
of
still
course.
I still lead and taking falls, but it's just like constant like practice.
Well, I
for
think
me.
I think that the aim would be to be at ease with fear and say, okay, I'm scared. Okay, let's keep on climbing, scared, and yes, you just have to manage. It's that I think that is also fear management.
It is a management, yeah, I think so.
It's accepting that you're scared and just let it flow through you in a certain way, and not trying to block it. If you try to block it, you're blocking everything. You start like gripping super hard and forgetting how to breathe and things like that.
Your technique goes down the drain.
Your technique goes down the drain. You just yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
speaking, go ahead.
yeah, then it's like the for me it's like also the tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Like that's when I'm really scared. I don't see holds.
No.
And I don't look for holds.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
It's just
True.
the next
That's like
draw, the next draw, the next draw.
But that's when you lose your technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of technique, I think there's another topic we would like to talk about. It's like, I think there's this taboo that people always say like girls have better techniques and guys are stronger.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, it's like girls have tiny hands.
Sure.
Come on.
Tiny hands.
This is not a tiny hand.
Girl, you don't have tiny hands.
I don't have tiny
I don't
hands.
even know is my hand smaller than yours?
We're similar.
Yeah, we're similar.
Yeah, we're girls' hands.
Girl hands.
Julia is
Yes.
Outlander.
Big hands and some pretty bad technique from time to time. But sometimes it's good, sometimes it's super bad. Yeah, it depends.
Right.
Totally.
Yesterday it was very bad technique. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah, like this is like the topic came to me many times, especially with male climbers. I think I can think of one scenario that could be true. It's like, for example, it's a female climber and male climber, they climb the same grade, and then it does seem like the girl has a little bit better technique than the male climber. I just think because for a male, male is easier to get stronger. Just because of hormone, and you have more faster twitch muscles and all that. So maybe you don't need to compensate so much with your technique. I don't know, or just like what is technique, right? Like being able to like do high steps or whatever. That's our idea about techniques. Being more flexible is our idea about technique. So I don't know.
No, I get the impression that technique is. I think it has to do with economy. Economy as regards energy.
Like efficiency.
Efficiency. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
sure,
okay,
exactly.
How much energy do I need to waste or to put into work to make this move?
Sure.
Or to advance? I don't know. Yes. To get to the next vault.
Yeah.
To put maybe a more regular measure. You know?
Yeah.
So I think technique may come down to efficiency. But if you'd like to see a beautiful climb,
it doesn't matter the gender, right? I don't think so. Like the best male climber there probably also has the best technique.
well, actually, and also if it comes to beauty and all, there was Patrick Berault, I think, the French guy. They mixed climbing with art. I think they equated climbing with a form of art. So I think that's. If you're not talking about efficiency and you're talking about beauty, we're digressing a bit. But
I guess the problem of this taboo is like, what do you mean technique when you talk about technique, right? I think we will like tend to link words like elegant to like when you see female climbers climb, right?
Yeah.
And then powerful to male climbers climb, and maybe we think like elegant is more technical than powerful.
yes, of course.
But I think like the common mistake is like, oh, you're just jumping around. That's not using your technique. I think Dino is extremely technical.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so technical.
Yes.
Right? Like
Ooh.
it's such a complex movement.
Yeah. And such a commitment thing as
And
well.
coordination. Yes. To go static in so many moves is so uneconomic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like for
Yes.
example, climbing Margalev, you flying your feet all the time, like all over the place.
got
But
loose,
because
yeah.
that's probably the most efficient way to climb some routes. It's seriously, it might look like you have such a shit footwork, but it could just be the best way to do it. Like not using your feet. It's campusing is a technique.
I was just like about to say that. You campus up Magala routes.
Yeah.
Well, not my cup of tea, actually, to be honest. I'd rather have my feet stick into holes rather than lose.
Yeah, it's just sometimes there are no feet holes. Like it's like so much harder to just keep your feet on because you have used so much body tension and like wasting your time to put your foot on. Like sometimes much better to just not use your feet.
Yeah, I think that's also really, at least for me, that was kind of a big revelation of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
because Yun was like, you climbed so slow. And I was like, I had not realized. And then I looked at Margot Hayes on biography, like at ascent footage. And I think the whole climb is like 16, 17 minutes. And she actually climbs for, I think it's just 5 minutes.
yeah.
And the rest she's resting. So for like pacing, it was, I was like, whoa. Pacing and like strategy behind how to where to rest, how to rest, and that I've realized matters so much. And I just thought, I'm like this. I have all those underlying assumptions about how you're meant to climb. Okay, you start climbing and then you climb to the top. But it's not that simple. It's really pacing. I feel like pacing is a proper technique as well. Like
yes. It's a technique. Yes. Yeah. I always thought pretty early on that rests were as important as the climbing moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I started to like, when I get to a point where I can rest, I take like 10 deep breaths per arm. Like I'm like. And it really makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference, yes.
Yeah.
When you get to very long routes. And
Yeah, I mean, it's probably super trivial for like someone who's climbed for a long time. But
but
like,
it's a good reminder. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to remember it from time to time.
yeah.
Technique is important.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. It does matter.
But strength is also important. Come on.
What?
Strength is also important.
Yeah, they're all important. Like that's the thing about climbing. Like it acquires so many different aspects. So many, and mental stress too, right? If you talk about that. And that's why the sport is so fun.
I mean, it's Adam Ondra who said, like, his biggest strength is his hip flexibility, right? I was like, what?
Well, because everything else is probably already like so good.
Like, so his flexible hips are what he feels like is so great. So yeah, so flexibility matters too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, many things.
for sure.
Totally.
And for both women and men.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, we are not born super flexible either. You know, we actually stretch. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about being present, right? Like being in the here and now. I think climbing is what usually, I think the times I get very frustrated climbing is when I can't get there. It takes me to that precise moment. There is nothing else. There's only that hold and that moment of breathing and saying it more poetically, you just turn into movement. Right?
Yeah.
The flow experience and all that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And yes, just one side.
Yeah, exactly. Like why you climb, there's so many reasons. Yeah, and sometimes I feel like if you talk in a more, more practical sense, like climbing, I feel like it's this keystone habit for me. Like keystone habits, I think is a term to refer to the habit that makes every other habits happen, like good habits. I mean, in this context. So if I climb, I feel like I'm more likely to do other things that I want to do. This sounds like, for example, if I'm climbing, I tend to eat better. I tend to like be more focused on my sleep. I sleep better. I tend to actually have more motivation to work. Like it's like everything. Like so, if I stop climbing, I just feel like like other things doesn't matter. It's kind of worked for me like as this kind of keystone habit. I think.
Yeah, I thought about that too, especially because like I climbed in the gym for the first time I think 5 or 6 years ago, but I wasn't so drawn to it.
Yeah,
and then I started going outside with this group of rock climbers, and I was like, wow. And that's when I really started to have a passion and love for it. And I mean, even up to now, I can enjoy climbing in the gym, but only because I know I can also go back outside. And climbing on rock, it's just such a physical experience. You have all these sensations of touching the rock, and then you have the noises like the birds and the trees, and you're in nature, and it's just beautiful. And then you go with your friends, you know, who they're equally psyched as you are, and they like support you in so many different ways. Belay you amazingly, you belay them amazingly. It's like such a community and a group experience as well. And you kind of there for each other, but at the same time you also responsible for your own your own progress, your own what you get from it. You know, I mean.
I'm thinking of many like golden climbing moments. But I love this part of community climbing. I'm totally for it, and starting to meet more and more people who are so much into climbing, with whom I can talk about things other than climbing is super cool. But at the same time, I think that what draws me the most are those super like alone moments that I get there. I remembered particularly 2 moments. Once there was a massive run out, and I got super, super scared, and there was a scary move to the next vault, scary to me. And I was like, my heart was thumping like this, and I said, okay, calm down. And I started to hear the birds chirping. And there I could just calm down, and luckily I didn't fall. I got to the next vault. And other time, a super long route when I was alone up there. I trusted my belayers, so I was super
out there ease. By yourself.
Out there with the rock, and you say, okay, what's the next move?
That's that's super cool experience.
Super nice, huh?
Yeah, I think climbing is best sport out there.
I say that.
Period. Really is.
Yeah.